What's going on? What's going on, everybody? It is the Only Sports Podcast. It's going to be a fun one today. I spilled my tea. The internet's bad. Casino has his baby right next to him. It's just a hodgepodge.
Plus an ear infection.
Yeah, and Casino
plus all the doctors that I see are like, oh, if you don't get your health in order, you're going to die. You know, it's just the normal shit.
So this is the Only Sports Podcast. I'm Will. That's, for the moment, a live Casino. He's right over there. We are here today to talk about the AFC East, or AFC Least in Casino's case, because it has his beloved Patriots in it. But before we talk about the Patriots, Casino, it's only fitting that today we are talking about the AFC East. And on this very day, Nick Foles has announced that he is retiring from the NFL. A.K.A. Big Dick Nick, a.k.a.
That's what you were going to name your child, was Big Dick Nick.
I was. And then my wife was like, maybe the next one. And then she said she wanted no more children after that. So I got bamboozled. But Big Dick Nick, Nick Foles, Philly has retired from 11 years, I believe, in the NFL. Yeah, I mean, he couldn't, for some reason, that magic couldn't translate anywhere else. He had one of the best seasons in Philadelphia Eagles, maybe NFL history, where he had that crazy year where he threw like 22 touchdowns, like 2 interceptions or something just insane like that. And then for whatever reason, just never panned out. He left the Eagles, then he comes back. Carson Wentz goes down and then leads them to a Super Bowl. Or it was 27-2. In 2013, he went an entire season throwing 27 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, including a 7-touchdown game against the Raiders. So maybe one of the most fascinating just careers in NFL history, just from the highs and lows. I mean, he has a couple good seasons, and I really feel like we look at him the same way we look at Kurt Warner, because again, Super Bowl champion, kind of came out of nowhere, really only worked one other place. I feel like if he would have had maybe a second half of his career in either Chicago or the Colts or whatever, maybe one more miracle season, which he almost had if Alshon Jeffrey would have caught that pass against the Saints. But yeah, that was maybe, besides the Eagles loss to the Chiefs, that might be the second hardest loss I've ever taken in my life, was the drop pass against the Saints, because there was that magic again. If they would have beat the Saints, I for sure would have think they would have beaten that Rams team, and then it would have been Eagles Patriots again. So
no, it was all good. I'm very happy with how that worked out.
Yeah, because if you think that Nick Foles in the Super Bowl is not putting up more than 10 points against the Patriots, you didn't watch the last time they played, because
they're totally different defenses. Come on now, cut the shit.
Yeah. The defenses that shut down Peyton Manning, that shut down all the greats, could not shut down Big Dick Nick Foles. Had one of the best games in Super Bowl history. A game we have to watch on this podcast.
I will never watch that game again.
Yeah, that is probably the best game I've ever seen as an Eagles fan. And yeah, enjoy your retirement, Nick Foles. Forever, you're etched in the history of Philadelphia Eagles fans' hearts and NFL history. Ooh, it took one night of the GOAT to beat the all-time GOAT, and it was one of the best days of my life. And I have 2 children and a wife. But Casino, I just want to throw that in there. But today we are talking about the AFC East and what they are now. Let's first talk about your Patriots. And I ask a very simple question, Casino. Patriots, any hope?
If they were able to or can land this Brandon Ayuk trade. It's not going to happen. It's not. The fact that the Browns are now back into it. Yeah. What's up, honey?
Speaking of the Brandon Ayuk trade.
Michaela, say that into the podcast. Say I want one. Say it.
I want one.
Say I want one.
I want one.
There it is.
She wants an Ayuk.
No, well, yeah, that would be great.
So
and she wants one of those yogi thingies that are for babies because I feed my baby that, and now she thinks that they're theirs. Anyway, hey, Brandon Ayuk, if we could get that and we have it, because the defense is going to be normal. I mean, it's going to be the defense of how Patriots always have a good defense, especially if it looks like they got that Judon thing figured out. So. You wanted. This is what you wanted. This is what you wanted.
We're still going. So the Ayuk Patriots sounds like, and by all accounts, it's not happening. As of a day ago, we're recording this on Thursday, same day you're hearing it. So yesterday, it was reported that there was a deal in place. Now, it is not confirmed. It is rumored that the deal was a trade. It's not known at the moment, or at least I can't find what was in the trade at the moment, but New England offered Ayuk, the rumor is, an offer in the range of $32 million on a
something ridiculous
contract. So he is declining $20 million from the 49ers, straight up said he's not playing for the Patriots. And now the rumors are it's either going to be a trade with him for, and this is Ayuk, either a trade with the Browns, or it looks by all accounts that he is going to the Steelers.
He's going to go to the Steelers.
I think so as well, which, how does it feel to... How does it
suck
feel
so bad?
For, a wide receiver to want to play with either Russell Wilson or Justin Fields compared to Jacoby Brissett and a rookie quarterback? I mean, by those standards, aren't those two things basically the same? Do you think it's just has to do with Mike Tomlin? We know he's a player's coach compared to the unknown.
Well, I'll tell you right now, as we did our things the other day, we said this might be the year Mike Tomlin does not go above 500. They get Brandon Ayuk, that changes.
Oh,
that changes.
How many wins do you think I
mean, not much, but I mean, instead of we had him like one under, something like that. I think we had him one or maybe two games under.
So you think this wins a minimum one game?
Yes. I think if they get this, that would put them 9-8 instead of 8-9.
Yeah, I could see that. But it looks like Ayuk does not feel that way because he does not want to go to New England. And rumors are it's because he wants to play for Tomlin, who
that's what I was saying. That's what I was saying.
Yeah.
He goes to the Steelers.
Yeah, I think there's rumors that by all accounts, it's already a deal with the Steelers and they're just working out the money and how much they signed.
That's a big deal though, for a lot of these players who are getting paid out their ass. I mean, good on the players. I have no fault for the players taking all this money. It's the organizations that are completely stupid with this cap that there is, in this professional sport. So there you go.
Yeah. Yeah, well, we will see how that goes. Maybe next week Ayuk will be moved. But as far as the Patriots go, Casino, let's break down what their offseason looked like. So last season, they finished at the bottom of the AFC East with a 4-13 record, which granted them the 6th overall pick, which they picked Drake May out of North Carolina. They
third overall pick. We had the third.
Or no. Oh yes, I'm sorry. It said overall rank he was 6. So he picked the 3rd overall pick, picked Drake May, finally let go of Bill Belichick and brought in Gerard Mayo as the new quarterback. There is
You mean the new coach?
Or the new
You
coach.
okay?
Yeah.
I'm the one over here about to die. with the ear infection and high cholesterol and blood pressure and,
Yeah, this is sympathy deaths for Casino over here. But I did see, however, in these off-season camps, Casino, and the Patriots' first game is actually tonight against the Panthers. But according to New England Patriots sports writers, Joe Milton has beaten Drake May in every practice so far. Some analysts are predicting that Milton will be the Patriots starting quarterback this season. Both selected in this NFL draft. May was selected 3rd overall. Milton selected 193.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that, Casino?
Let's get the next Tom Brady. Let's do it. Milton, next Tom Brady.
I mean, honestly, it's kind of a good sign that your first-round quarterback is about to be replaced by a 6th-round quarterback, because Bledsoe was a first-round quarterback, and then Brady was a 6th-round quarterback. Maybe this is the start of a second dynasty.
I would piss myself with joy. Legitimately piss myself with joy. And I would stay in my pee pants all day.
The other pickups you got a wide receiver. You got 2 wide receivers, a tight end, offensive guard, offensive tackle, and then Joe Milton III from Tennessee in the 6th round. So it's always great to see your number 3 pick being outperformed by a guy that, by all accounts, might not even make the roster, and currently is listed as 4th on the depth chart. The starter right now, and the starter in all preseason games, according to the coach, will be Jacoby Brissett, with Drake May getting some playing time. So, all that being said, Casino, your number 1 wide receiver is Kendrick Bourne. You also have...
And I love Bourne. He's a great wide receiver, in my opinion. I think he fits well.
Well, you also love Juju Smith-Schuster. You love his TikToks. You love his dancing. What is... Now, we did over and under. The over-under for the Patriots, I believe, was set at 5.5. I can pull this up right now, but you said
it was 4.5, I think, right? I don't know. It was something low.
Yeah, it was definitely one of the lower over-unders. I said I believe they could do better than that. You said under. So why are you so out on your team?
There's no offense. There's 0 offense. Okay, you have Kendrick Bourne. Okay, he's a good receiver. Is he a number 100% starter receiver on most teams? No. Is he a good backup or like a good number 2 receiver on good teams? Sure. But he is definitely by far not a number 1 receiver on half the league.
Yeah, last year he had 37 receptions for 406 yards and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So...
And he would work better as a number 2 option for everybody. He's not a number 1 guy.
And you know what? Honestly, if you guys did get Ayuk, paired him with Bourne, and then the 2 tight ends you guys have,
I feel like we would have to get rid of Bourne to get Ayuk. We would send him back to the Niners.
That is apparently the scuttlebutt, Casino, is that the 49ers don't want to trade Ayuk for picks. They want to trade him for people that they can use this year because they're in, obviously, a win-now window. But last year, the Patriots were all defense. They finished with the 7th total defense in the league. Now, again, that was when they were being coached by Bill Belichick, new coaching tree, starting at the top with Gerard Mayo. Is it Gerard? I don't know. Again, I say it every podcast, terrible with names. So it'll be his first time being a head coach. The defense will be led by DeMarcus Covington. So we'll see if they can keep that same momentum going that they had last year, at least on defense. And then offense would be led by Alex Van Pelt. I don't know. Again, it's always iffy. There's just some guys who are great head coaches. There's some guys who aren't. There's some guys, maybe it's wait and see, especially rookie head coach, rookie quarterback, losing an all-time head coach, maybe the all-time head coach. I am optimistic, but again, this division, I mean, I think we'll get to it in a minute when Casino gets back, but I think the Dolphins are going to be good. The Buffalo Bills, I think, are a huge question mark. And then the New York Jets, I think, are a huge question mark because, again, the Bills are so reliant on Josh Allen, just not from a passing standpoint, but from a running standpoint. He's usually their entire rushing offense. Their defense has been suspect the past couple of years, so that used to be a strength of theirs. They lost Stephon Diggs. So you know what? Let's just go right into it because I'm talking about it. Buffalo Bills. We've talked about it. Is the window for the Buffalo Bills closed? Buffalo.
I'm back. I threw my kids outside and just,
there you go.
They joined the dogs. No,
yeah,
I don't have my dogs out in this heat. You crazy?
But Casino. We picked the Buffalo Bills. This was one of the divisions where we had a different choice for over and under for almost every team. I picked under for their win total. You picked over. Their win total was predicted at 10.5. So I'm saying with this loss of Stephon Diggs, with all the weird drama behind the scenes with the head coach and stuff like that, I think the window's closed and they're going under.
Well, I think the window's closed for them to get a Super Bowl.
Yeah. But you still think they're going to be an 11-win team. Why?
Just the strength of that division, honestly. I don't trust Rodgers coming back off an injury. I mean, and they're still the Jets. They still need to prove it to me, get to the postseason and do something. Like, actually do something. And then Miami, I don't have 100% faith in Tua, especially now being paid.
Yeah. They have, let's see, I am looking right now. They have the 23rd easiest schedule in the league. So not a gimme by any means. They have basically the 11th hardest schedule in the league. They finished last year. I just had this pulled up. They finished last year winning the AFC East at 11-6. So the over under for them being 10.5 is basically everybody thinks they're going to do the exact same they did last year. How big of a loss do you think Stephon Diggs is?
Huge for that team. I mean, yes, a lot last year. He wasn't utilized as much as he wished, or the team or the fans would have wished, whatever was going on. But it's still what Stephon Diggs is what Tyreek Hill does for the Miami is he's that long threat, that fast, long threat that will draw safeties into that coverage. If you don't have that down the line fast receiver, most of the time that's very easy for the defense to bottle that back up, and those safeties and the second corner or whatever, they can focus on different setups because they're not worried about the long ball.
Yeah. Well, they also, and we've talked about the security blanket for Josh Allen also leaving, which is Gabe Davis. Also went to Jacksonville, which I think in the long run is probably going to lead to more issues than Stephon Diggs leaving, because again, he was the Kelsey for Josh Allen, which was whenever he needed something, that guy was always there. And I felt like he really got better every year. Nothing against Stephon Diggs. I think that's going to be a huge loss, but just watching Bills games and how they played, it really did feel like Gabe Davis was kind of the one that opened up that offense to get stuff to Diggs and to, get big plays when they needed to. So the weird thing,
so let me ask you this. You don't trust the new mustache for Josh Allen.
Now I do like
mustaches. Oh snap! Here is a live. I don't know what the heck this is.
Is it a mustache?
Anyway, a live update. I know live updates on this don't really matter, but we talked about it before we started the podcast that the U.S. men's basketball team was down 63-76 against Serbia, and they came back and won 95-91 behind 36 points from Steph Curry.
Damn.
We'll face France in the final.
Damn, Wemby against the United States in the finals is maybe a preview of NBA future. Like that's, I mean, this is maybe this is the springboard. But when it comes back to the Buffalo Bills casino, they made a weird move in the draft, which I mentioned on the last episode talking about the Chiefs. They traded their first round pick away to the Kansas City Chiefs so the Chiefs could draft Xavier Worthy. And then with the first pick in the second round, they drafted Keenan Coleman, a Florida State wide receiver. So I said, and I wonder if you agree with this, if Xavier Worthy becomes like this all-pro great wide receiver, this will just be another notch on the belt of just a Bills curse. Correct?
Yeah, all day. All day.
I still can't believe you would trade with the Chiefs. They're your rival. They are the thing that has stopped you from getting to a Super Bowl, your entire Super Bowl window.
It's going to happen again.
Oh, yeah. Well, I honestly, I think they might miss the playoffs. I don't know. Just looking at their roster last year, the Bills finished their defense as number 9th in the league in total defense. So not too shabby, but they lost almost every piece offensively that really meant a lot to them last year. They have obviously still Josh Allen at quarterback, Cook at running back, their wide receiver 3
they're just going to turn into a full-time running team. That's all.
Yeah. In the offseason, they added Mac Hollins from the Raiders. They added Curtis Samuel from the Commanders. Khalil Shakir, who was their 3rd string wide receiver last year, is now bumped up to number 1. Obviously, we just said they drafted Keenan Coleman, and then they have Kincaid and Dawson Knox as their tight ends. Defensively, I just don't know. More or less the same. DeMar Hamlin, though, starting free safety. So not only did he defeat death, he defeated the depth chart by rising up its ranks to be the starting free safety in this team. I don't know, Casino. When we're doing our last picks at the end of the year for who we think is going to be a playoff team, who we think is going to win the division, I don't know how confident I am in this Buffalo Bills team because, again, we've seen them cooking on all cylinders, and they've been a 12-11 win team. So when they've lost so much and are kind of rebuilding, to still think they're an 11-win team, especially I know Josh Allen is good, but he only was good when he got good weapons. Now his weapons are all question marks. I don't know. I mean, if we went through all the wide receiving core in most of the NFL, I think the Bills would be a bottom 5 receiving core.
Hot take.
That's my hot
I'm not mad at it. It is what it is.
Speaking of a team, I believe this was one of the ones we also disagreed with. And it was, for how low I am on the Buffalo Bills, I have to ask, Casino, with the Miami Dolphins, contender or pretender?
I mean, contender still. I want to see more from them. I just haven't seen more from them. I mean, you're talking about the Buffalo Bills where he's had his weapons and they still can't get past that 11, 12 wins or whatever it is. Same with the Dolphins. Like, they're just right there on the brink of the playoffs. Sometimes they'll make it. You know, they're always around that bubble spot. That he's had weapons throughout his Tua. He's had weapons throughout his career there. I mean, last year they did well and they fucked it up in Miami or
Kansas City
because of the winter game. But I want to see them do it again. Like, they still have a lot to prove to me until they can get over that hump. It's not just them. I mean, teams like the Ravens, the Bills, you know, they're all just can't get past that threshold. And until the Dolphins get past their threshold, which is right under what the Bills have been, you know, I can't say it. I can't say that they're going to be great. But are they Contenders still, yes. I think their window has not shut, but they're needing to step it up a little bit if they want to actually have a legitimate shot at the Super Bowl.
Yes. So last year they their playoff hopes were dashed when they
we thought they were going to go to the Super Bowl at some point last year.
Oh yeah, when they were laying 70 points against the Broncos, everybody was like, "Oh my god." And then they went to or Philadelphia came in and kicked their ass, and nobody thought Philadelphia was good the entire season. So that was a wake-up call, but like you said, with the Dolphins, they finished as the same record as Bills, but lost the tiebreakers. So they finished second in the AFC East last year with an 11-6 record. Their over/under going into this season was 9.5. I picked over, you picked under. I do think, unlike the Bills, they didn't really lose any key assets during the offseason. Now, again, we talked about it when we were doing the over or under. I am worried, just like you, when somebody gets paid, especially a shitload of money, like how much of their mindset changes, or are they just like, don't have to work so hard anymore. I just got $250 million. Right? Which
and X amount guaranteed.
Yeah. Which I'll tell you what.
I mean, that's insane to me. The guaranteed portion of this has always blown my mind for teams. Like, prove that you can do it, and I'll give you the money. Prove that you don't just give them all the money up front. Like, that's, I mean, there's, you take that into small, a smaller scale. You never pay up front for everything. You never, like, give a landscaper or this or that. You wait till the job's done. Like I had a tree service one time come out, and they asked if I could pay them up front, and I said no. Like, hey, do you mind if you pay us up front? Or they didn't demand it, and I was just like, no, do your service, blah 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 blah, because I'm not. No, I don't want to get swindled because you get paid. What's their incentive on staying and doing their thing? Like,
yeah. And this is white collar casino, blue collar BJ on this podcast, because I would have been like, you know what, guys, I trust you. Take the money. I believe in you. I trust you. And casino said, why would I pay you my money? That means I'll have less money for my caviar and my champagne and my champagne.
I hate champagne, dude.
I do too. It's disgusting.
It's so gross.
Except in a mimosa and a Bellini, pretty good. But
I don't know if I've ever had caviar, to be honest.
I don't think I have either.
But you know what? Something like on a sushi thing, like where it's like the fake caviar bubbles or something.
Yeah. I've never had caviar. I'm just going to take a wild swing that I wouldn't like it. It does not.
All I hear is it's just super salty and tastes like the ocean.
Ugh. Maybe I would like it. I don't know. But speaking of that contract, casino, it was a 4-year, $212 million extension for 4 years. It included, like you were just saying, $167 million of it guaranteed, which again, stupid money. He is going to earn $23 million this year, and then the next 3 years after that, he will earn $53 million a year, which means simply this is the year.
I want to know what would you do? Yes, you're right. This is the year. After this year, they're not going to have money to put around anywhere. What would you do with all that money? Like, I know this is that conversation. You win the lottery, what would you buy? But I honestly, I can't fathom having that much money.
No.
Like, I can like in my head, like, oh, if I had like a $200,000 a year job, I'd be like, oh, I could do this comfortably. But I can't see myself being like, I'm going to blow this money on all this or that. But I could be like, oh, I can have my vehicle paid off. I could, probably even a house paid off or something. I could have other things that I can manage, like comprehend of this is what I can have. I don't know what I would do with an excess amount of money. I honestly can't. I don't know.
Yeah. And I also
get golf lessons. I don't know.
Well, you always hear those things where it's like, this guy won the lottery and then he just went crazy buying like hookers and cocaine.
And now he's broke.
Yeah. I there's nobody, I mean, there's a couple people I work with, but there's nobody I know in real life, like any of our friends or anybody who I would be like, oh shit, you gave that guy $100 million, it'd be gone in 5 years. There's just nobody I know who like thinks like that, but maybe that's why
if I had $100 million in 5 years, no joke, maybe $2 million would be spent.
That's what I'm saying.
Because I don't know. Like, okay, like I said, my vehicle pay off. Okay, my house pay off. Okay, I haven't even hit $1 million yet. All right, yeah. So from there, I'm like, oh, okay, my family. I guess I'll take care of them. Sure, but again, like, I don't know.
Like you put money in for kids' college funds and stuff like that. But then, like, like after that, it's just like I'm not buying 50 cars. I'm not buying 10 houses. It's like
right. Yeah.
But maybe that mindset is why we're not filthy rich, because the people who are filthy rich just don't think like that. They're like, I have this money. Why would I not spend it?
Yeah.
True. But as far as the Dolphins and Tua goes,
well, if I had the money, I might actually hire somebody to take care of my kids while I do the Only Sports podcast. So that'd be fun.
That would, you know what? We'd have like a professional studio. We'd have.
That's where we would spend our money on.
Yeah, we'd have,
this would be my real job. I would quit my day job. I would have interns to give me all my information for me, do all my research, just have papers and papers laid out in front of me of notes.
Yeah. And then
we're doing this all off the cuff. We're doing this off the cuff, All those other professional, like Colin Cowherd and all of them. Jeez, kid. Like Colin Cowherd and all of them. They have, like, just giant stacks of notes and paperwork in front of them.
All we have for this podcast is
just screaming children.
This binder and children. But as far as the defense for the Miami Dolphins goes, last year they finished right under the Buffalo Bills, making them the 10th in total defense, they were the 10th best defense in the league, the number 1 overall offense in the league last year. And again, these are total offense, total defense. But again, they were just basically number 1 because of that Denver game. That Denver game absolutely skewed all the rankings, but you take that game away or just make that an average game, like an average blowout and not a 70 point pop, they still probably finished top 5, right around what Dallas, Ravens, Rams, Chiefs, and Eagles were doing. So again, top 10 in total defense, top number 1 in total offense. I don't think those numbers really fall off that much this year, which is why I think they're a better team this year than they were last year. And again, last year they couldn't beat any of the good teams. So all they have to do is beat half of the amount of good teams they did last year, and they get 3 more wins than they had last year. Right? Like that's the way I'm looking at the over-under for this Dolphins team. And then when you look at their strength of schedule, they have the 8th easiest strength of schedule in the entire league. Now, again, I've said I don't really believe in strength of schedule, but just looking at it from the standpoint of what their record, what of their potential people they're playing this year.
Don't worry, you can stutter as much as you want. This show has been off the rails all day.
Yeah, but I'm saying just from the standpoint of looking at who they're playing this year, the division they play in, obviously we think the Patriots are going to be down, Buffalo Bills, who knows? And then New York Jets, who we're going to talk about in a second, even bigger question mark. So I do think this is an 11-12 win Dolphins team. I think they're going to finish as a top 5 offense, potentially top 10 defense again. So all they got to do is beat the good teams. But like you said, like the Ravens, like the Bills, like the Bengals, they just have to get past the Chiefs. If they can beat the Chiefs, they can beat anybody in the AFC. So let's move on to our last team, Casino. And that is the New York Jets, whose season went into deep despair.
Oh, no, not that ear. Not that ear. Don't pull that ear. That's Daddy's bad ear. Daddy would scream
you
like a little
replace
girl.
what Casino was just saying about his ear and replace it about a leg. And that is what Aaron Rodgers was saying about 5 snaps into last season, which ended up being a season-ending injury after playing, I believe it was 3 snaps, correct? I think 2 or 3. The Jets, however, still finished with a 7-10 record starting for the rest of those games. This podcast favorite quarterback, the MFer himself, Zach Wilson.
The best man ever.
Who is now on the Broncos. I just talked about him last episode. So, and I guaranteed he's 3rd string quarterback right now. He will find a way to start a game next season. It's going to happen. I guarantee it. But the Jets finished 7-10 with the number 3 total defense in the league. Their defense was lights out. And then their offense, however, sputtered, and they were 31st in the league. So again, top 3 defense, 31st in the league, and that's how you get a 7-10 record. You can stop people, but you can't score to beat them. And the Jets this year, again, we talked about this in the over-under. Oh, this is insane. Their over and under is listed at 9.5. There's no way this is a 10-win Jets team.
I don't see it. Until I'm proven wrong, I don't see it. I mean, hell, if Rodgers comes out and he crushes it off of injury, good for him. I mean, they've got some nice new pieces and new weapons in offense. And Rodgers knows how to deal with a good offense. But I just can't see this team putting it together to being, competitive for the top spot in that AFC East.
Well, especially, are we sure that Robert Saleh is a good coach? That's my number one question, dude. Besides all the Rodgers stuff, is Saleh a good coach? Now, I would say he seems to be a pretty good coach when you lose your star quarterback and you still go 7-10. But again, you were bringing in a quarterback with an injury history that was old. This was a real possibility, and then you still had no contingency plan and just went right back to the well with Zach Wilson, a quarterback who's already proven in New York on this Jets team under this coaching staff can't get it done. So that's why I say, is he a good coach? I don't know, because you can make as many he was a good coach as he was a bad coach points, which is the contingency, which is bringing in Rodgers. Right. But then you look at this Jets team. They obviously got Rodgers coming back from injury as the starter. Breece Hall also coming back from injury.
I want to see what he does.
Yeah, him and
I
Garrett
like Breece
Hall. Garrett Wilson had a great year. Breece Hall looked like he was going to have a great year before injuries stopped. Their offensive line is still a giant question mark when it comes to this team.
Yeah.
So
Rodgers is concerned about that.
I mean, he should be, considering they let him get annihilated 3 plays into his Jets career. So, and it's not like, I don't think they made giant, vast improvements over the offensive line in the past year. So what the Jets also did in the draft, if I could find them on here, they went with their first round pick, drafted an offensive tackle. So at least they're addressing it. And it was a giant man with the 11th pick from Penn State, Olu Fashanu.
Yeah, good job.
He is 6'6", 312 pounds.
That's not that big.
That is giant. And
no, that's not that big.
With the rest of their picks, they went wide receiver, running back, quarterback, running back, cornerback, safety. So at least they have depth on the offense, because, again, they had the 31 ranked offense last year. So basically, Casino, my last question for this Jets team, over or under listed at 9.5. We both think way under.
I'm not going to say way under, but they're not reaching over 10.
Now, they do have the 4th easiest strength of schedule. So they do have one of the easiest schedules in the league, according to Sharp Football analysis. What do you think this season looks like for this Jets team? Let's say Rodgers stays healthy through the entire season.
Oh man, definitely an offensive presence is going to be. They're going to be flashy. They're going to score points. I feel like, especially if he stays healthy. The defense, will have to step up. But then again, you have to put all of that together. You have to have a game plan to beat teams because teams are going to come in who have played Rodgers throughout his career and figure this out. And now my kid's just saying "owie" for no reason. Children, enjoy him.
She also feels your sympathy pain. But so do you think the Jets finished number 3 in total defense next year? You think the defense stays around top 5, or you think there's a drop off? Or do you think the strength of the Jets last year is the strength of it this year? You were on mute.
I think it's going to be a drop off. I think that they overperformed because there was more eyes on them this year because Rodgers was joining the team.
That's an interesting now you said I had a hot take earlier. That is a hot take. That would actually be a crazy turn of events where all of a sudden the defense is struggling and then the offense is just lighting it up.
I don't know. I'm just throwing shit out there right now because obviously I'm not 100% here today with this podcast. My right side of my face is killing me. My kid is yelling for food who just ate. My baby is underneath me grabbing my legs and all the cords to my computer.
Yeah. This has been the only sports podcast, Casino. I think we've said all we have to say.
Yeah.
Without naming them, because again, after we do all this, we'll pick them. How many teams do you think come out of this conference and go to the playoffs? Or this division, I mean. Just one. I think looking at who I predicted, I am picking one as well.
Nah, I mean, probably 2.
You're muted again.
It's now a 3-team wild card. I can see 2. Legitimately.
Yeah, I think we can agree.
Maybe the Bills, Dolphins.
Yeah, Patriots are bottom, and then it really becomes just who you believe in more, who you're willing to take more of a risk with when it comes to the Bills, the Dolphins, or the Jets, because all of the potential to be great teams, but they just have little things here and there that stop them from reaching the mountaintop. So this has been the Only Sports Podcast. I'm Will. That's Casino, who's in pain and almost dead over there. We will see you on Tuesday.
Normally we would just say, no, we can't do the podcast, but we had to get one in no matter with my children just running amok and my head about to pop.
And you know what? You did great. Next week,
by the way, if you've yes, he is standing up. If you've never had ear infections, people don't, especially if you have kids, because they make them like 100 times worse. There we go.
We'll be back next Tuesday and Thursday to talk AFC North and AFC South to finish up the AFC, and then the week over that we'll switch to NFC. Preseason games, officially week 1 starts tonight. Casino is Dada. I'm Will. We'll see you Tuesday. Adios.